Hey, all right, I wanted to do a quick video just to show you how everything is laid out in Blackboard, just in case someone hasn't taken an online course or maybe not a course at Gaston State. This is just how you can find everything. All right, so we are at the Start Here tab, and this is the video you're watching, so I know you've made it that far. There's a quick description about the course, what we're going to be covering. I sent everyone an email when you registered for the class, so that there was a document called Getting Started. There's a copy of that right there. You might just wonder, if it's been a while, you might want to read it again just to know the types of activities we're going to do in this class and where you can find all that information. All right, online labs. If you have not ordered your lab kit yet, honestly, at this point, you might be kind of behind. You need to order this as soon as you get a chance. Just as a reminder, the lab kit is going to have most of the material that you need to complete the lab. Since we're not going to meet in class, you're going to have to do your labs at home. This kit is going to have most of that material, like chemicals, glassware, things like that. There might be a few things you have to go out and buy, like milk or potatoes or like perishable items. But most of the hard to find stuff is going to be right here. Okay. Also, there is an access code in your lab kit. So that means you're going to have that code to actually open up the labs. And you're going to have that code in order to unlock the labs so that you can submit them to turn in the labs. So if you don't buy the lab kit, like, you don't have a way to turn them in for points. So it's not optional. You do have to get this. Labs make up about 20% of our final grade. So you can make 100 on everything and you would still make, I think it's like 21%. So that means you can make 100 on everything. If you don't do the labs, the C is the best you can make in this class. So you do have to get those. If you finished with a B, that would bump you down to like a D or an F. So get the labs. Let me know if you have any questions, but you do have to have those. Our first lab is due, I believe it's June the 9th. And it can take a week or so to get those labs in. So really don't put it off any longer. You need to get this. All right, textbook and instructional materials. Here is the textbook we're going to use. It's a really good resource. I would recommend it. I'm going to cover all of the information that you need to know for the exams on the lecture videos. I'll show you where you can find those in a little bit. But I'm not going to say, like, you read chapter 3 on your own and know it for the test. I will cover everything with you. But if you're looking for another resource that you can read on your own, that's available to you. There's the information on the lab kit. Again, it's got a place you can order that, or you can get them from the bookstore too. And then here's just some, like, you should have these technical skills to be able to send an email, things like that. All right, let's go to homepage. Whenever you log on to Blackboard, this is what's going to pop up. So if you'll notice, I've got a list of, it says my task. These are any of the assignments that are coming up anytime soon. I've got them listed with the due date. And when you click on that, it's going to tell you a little more information about that assignment. So you should never have the excuse of, I didn't know that was due, because you've got a list right here of, like, at least a week out, I'll put them on this section. And then also under the announcements, you can't see any right now, but by the time the class starts, I'm going to have a weekly announcement that's going to tell you what's coming up. I'm going to also record a quick video that tells you anything you might need to know to complete that assignment. So check Blackboard pretty regularly, and then always check the announcements and the My Task. That's going to let you know anything that's coming up. Instructor info, here is my office hours, and if you're on campus, this is where you can find me, Browder Hall number 2, office number 2. All right, notice that I'm only going to be on campus Monday through Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday I'm here a little later, but Wednesday I leave at 2 p.m. So the reason that's important is if you've got a question and it's during office hours, the best way to reach me is just call me. Call my office number and I can, like, answer you in real time. If, let's say, most of the assignments are due Friday, some of them are due Sunday. If it's Friday night at 10:30 and you're doing an assignment and you can't figure out how to do something, you obviously can't call me. You can send me a Blackboard message, but I'm not going to be checking Blackboard at like 11 p.m. to, you know. So what I would recommend is, for any of the assignments, look at them early in the week, like by midday Wednesday. Look at them, and that way if you have any questions, you can send me a message, and I'll get back to you. If you send it to me before, let's say, like noon on Wednesday, I'll have plenty of time to write you back. But after that, you're kind of on your own a little bit. Now I'm going to give you so many instructions, and you should be able to do all of this on your own. But just in case, look at everything early in the week. All right, I sent you in that email that had the Getting Started document, I also sent you a copy of the syllabus. But again, you might want to open it up and just kind of refresh yourself, make sure you know everything. Once you have read the syllabus, if you have any questions, send me a message. But there's going to be a syllabus quiz that's available. What you're going to do is open up the quiz, and you're going to use the syllabus to answer the questions that are on this quiz. They're not hard. Like if you've got the syllabus in front of you, you should get these. What's the name of the class and what section are we? Stuff like that. All right. Okay, it's got my office hours. This is really good too. This is a list of all the assignments that you're going to have for the entire semester. So if it were me, what I would do, and click open image, right click, and then open image. Print this off, and wherever you're going to do your schoolwork, so like if you've got a desktop computer or if you've got just like a desk where you're going to do your stuff, hang this up, and that way you can have another reminder of this is when things are due, this is how many points it's worth. I broke it down by week too. All right, announcements, those are going to be on the home page. You can find them right here, but you can also find the announcements by clicking on that tab, and it'll have anything that's coming up or any other things that you might need to know. I'll put those in the announcements. So just check that, but you can find all that on the home page. All right, here's the big one, learning materials. What I've done is I've separated this class into 5 units, and these are just basically unit, you can say this is stuff for test 1, this is for exam 2, this is for exam 3, all right? So exam 1 is going to cover chapters 1, 15, 19, and 2. So if you click on that folder, I've got another folder for each chapter. And in that chapter folder, so chapter 1, that's the first one we're going to do together. It's got a copy of the PowerPoint. So if this was a traditional class, what you would probably do is you would print off the PowerPoint and bring it with you, and then you can write extra notes. I would do the same thing for an online class. The way I like to do it, go to print. Right now, every page is going to be 1 slide, and that's way too much paper. But if you can change that to handouts, I like the one that says 3 slides. If you'll print that off before you watch the lecture video, that way anything, like you don't have to write down everything that I say because it's on the PowerPoint. You can just kind of highlight the important stuff. Now, let's say I'm on this slide right here, and I say, oh, here's a note that you need to write down. You've got spaces to do that out to the side, and you'll know what we were talking about because the notes would line up with that slide. Okay? So like I said, for what it's worth, I would recommend taking notes that way. It's going to make it a lot easier on you when you try to go back and study. Back on the learning materials though, so chapter 1, there was the PowerPoint. Underneath that, I have recorded a lecture video. So you can see right there, what I was just doing right there is we talked about something, and then I wanted to add more information, so I typed out extra notes, just like on a Word document is all it was. So watch these because I'm going to explain what's on the PowerPoint, but there will be extra notes. Just like if we were in class and I wrote something on the board, I'm going to type extra notes there too. All right. So cannot recommend that enough. If you don't watch the lecture videos, that would be like taking the class and not showing up to lecture. Like you could, of course, you could look at the PowerPoints at home, but it's not going to be the same as being in class. All right, last thing here, you can find study guides too. So for that first exam, I've got a study guide for you already. All right, that's the learning materials. When we start taking tests, like real exams, you're going to find those in the exams tab. And then there's one you can go ahead and do now. There is a online pretest. This is just to see what you know about biology before the class starts. You're not supposed to know anything yet, so this is not for any points, but it's just to give me an idea of how much we know, and then later on we'll compare your grade on this one with some of the other tests. Hopefully you'll do better, like once you've actually taken the class and you've watched the lectures and everything. All right, but the exams will be right here. There's going to be a practice exam that we do just to make sure we can use Lockdown Browser, and Monitor is it's a browser that you're going to have to download to take the test. I'll explain all that later, but the practice exam is going to be found here too. All right, quizzes. Every week that I tell you a lecture to watch, or lectures, you're going to have a review quiz after you've watched the lectures. Just a quick, they're usually 5-question quizzes just to see how much you know about what you just covered. All right, so for example, chapter 1 and 15, you should watch those in the first week, like this week. After you've watched those lecture videos and you've taken your notes, open up this quiz and answer them. See how well you know the information. Now, it's okay to use your notes on the quiz. That's perfectly fine. Now, on the test that we looked at earlier, you cannot use anything, and I'll explain all that in much more detail. Like, you'll have to clear everything off. You'll have to record your environment. But for these quizzes, that's fine. You can use your notes. That's not a problem. All right, so that's the quizzes tab. There's also an About Me survey that you can go ahead and do at the beginning of the semester. The first day of a traditional class, I would ask you a little bit about yourself, just tell me some information. This is like the online version of that. So like, where are you from? What's your major? Just kind of basic stuff like that. All right, labs is next. This is where we're going to do where you're going to have to log on to do the lab activities. So like, they're actual labs that you're going to do at home with equipment, but the instructions and everything are going to be on this website. So HOL Cloud is the name of our lab website. You'll sign on and you'll create an account. This is it's not detailed, it's not hard, but I recorded a separate video right here that'll explain all of that. But that's where you can find that, the labs tab and all that. Down at the bottom, I'm sure I say this in this video too, but in the bottom, I've got a list of all of our labs and any equipment that you might need for those labs. So it's going to tell a list of the labs. Lab 1 is our first one, the due date. It gives you an estimate about how long it's going to take. And if you'll notice, that one says it can take up to 4 hours. So give yourself plenty of time. Don't wait until like 30 minutes before it's due and think you can knock this out real quick, because these are detailed labs, just like if we were in a classroom. They take some time. Some of the material is going to be in your lab kit, but if there's ever any material that you have to supply on your own, I'm going to list that right here. Now, like, look in this first, pen and pencils, research volunteers, that just means people that you're going to ask a question, and a calculator. You probably have all of those. It's not like you're going to have to go out to the store to buy a pen or a pencil, but this is just a list that you just want to check early in the week to make sure that you've got everything, so that when you're ready to do the lab, you've got everything you need. Okay? All right, discussion board, that's a different type of an assignment, and when that comes a little closer, I'll explain that to you. But it's going to be a way that we can write down, and you can actually kind of discuss with other students in the class. Most of the time, I'll get you to watch a quick video or read an article, and then you're going to leave a post, and you're going to reply to another student's post. So that will be in the discussion board right here. All right, diversity project. This is a couple biographies that you're going to have to read. And once you have read those biographies, there is a quiz, a diversity quiz underneath that you're going to take. You can have the biographies open while you're taking the quiz. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We just want to make sure that you read it and that you found the information. I've had students like print them off beforehand. If you want to, that's okay. But the diversity project is there. All right, best way to get in touch with me, if it's during office hours, just call my office, and as long as I'm not off doing something else, I'll be able to answer you right then. But the second best way is going to be course messages. All right, I've got a couple classes this semester, so if you send me an email, I might not be sure what class it's coming from. So if you'll click on Messages, Create Message, and click To, it's going to pull up a list of everybody that's in the class, but I will have instructor out to my name. If you'll click that arrow, I'm a recipient now. And then after that, it's just like an email. Type your subject, type whatever you want to tell me, and then click submit. And I'll check that pretty regularly, even some over the weekend. So if you'll send me a message, I check that a lot more than I do email. All right, last few things to wrap up. Grades. whenever we have an assignment, I'll get grades posted pretty quickly, and you can always check there, and it'll tell you like what your average is. So all of that